Okay, I'm on YouTube and Facebook. Okay. Ouch. Hello. Okay. Just waiting for everyone to turn up. Oops. I'm on YouTube at the same time. By the way, all my lives are saved on YouTube. Okay, so I got a few people turning up now. This is my first live since last Thursday. It's the longest I've ever gone in 2 years with no lives. I just had so much stuff behind the scenes that I was working on. I didn't have a weekend or anything. So anyway, so yeah, I almost feel like nervous. Like I haven't done a live in 5 days. Wow. Yeah, as my business gets busier and busier, I can't do this every day. I'm going to try and do it. Well, I'll still continue doing these weekly, the scheduled ones, but I don't know how much longer I can do the other ones because I'm taking away from client sessions too, right? When I do these. So, or if someone cancels, sometimes something happens and they have to cancel or reschedule. So then I can fit a live in then. But we'll see how we go. I'm just getting really busy. So things happen, right? But I miss doing the lives. It's been a while. Okay, so let's get going with your parenting questions. If you're new here, my name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. And if you look at the link above, you can get my free behavior board. Check out my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course. I still have those live Q&As, group coaching in the course. They're temporary. They'll be ending in a couple of weeks. And what else? Oh yeah, coaching. Look into coaching. I can't take everyone on. I am taking on new clients right now because a whole bunch of them finished up last week. So I am taking on new clients right now. I don't know when it'll fill up. So anyway, thanks so much for turning up. If you're new here, welcome. If not, welcome back. So let's get going with your parenting questions. By the way, a lot of stuff on here when I'm doing the lives is toddler questions. And I do specialize in teenagers. So if you have teen questions, feel free to ask too. But some people don't realize that it's all ages here. So it's not just toddler stuff, just because so many of the questions are about toddlers, right? While we're waiting for people to turn up, I will read out my top 3. I teach leadership parenting. These are my top 3 leadership parenting points or qualities. Number 1 is you stay calm during the storms. That's when they're angry, you're disciplining, you stay completely calm. Disciplining is like a business transaction. There should be no emotions in it. Number 2 is you be crazy during the rainbows. That's the happy times when you're playing with your kids. You can be emotional, giggling, laughing, having fun with them. So calm during the storms, crazy during the rainbows. And then number 3 is be a great listener. You listen to understand pretty much all ages, but especially important with teenagers. You listen to understand and show empathy. You do not listen to gather information to lecture with. Anyway, so let's get going with your questions. I've got a couple going here. How to deter a 7-year-old from crying over everything. I don't know the situation. Why are they crying over everything? I don't know. They're ultra sensitive. Generally, kids who have a leader as a parent, it tends to regulate their emotions and calm them down. So are you a leader or are you a pleaser? I find that the pleaser parents tend to have overly sensitive children because the kids feel lost when they have a pleaser parent. So they tend to be the most overly sensitive. They don't feel as taken care of. They don't feel like you're in charge and like you know what you're doing. It's real trendy right now to be a pleaser parent. I see it going out, thank God, finally. I saw that coming on 40 years ago with those stupid participation awards. I couldn't believe it when I heard that. Are you kidding me? You turn up and you get an award? I was grocery shopping the other day. I turned up at the supermarket. No one gave me an award. I was participating in grocery shopping. No one gave me. How is that setting kids up for life? It's so stupid. Anyway, not that I'm opinionated. Okay, how do you handle a child that tells various lies, such as white lies, lies by omission, overt lies, so lying. You put down, 9-year-old, you put down no lying on the behavior board. Just say it like it is. The behavior board is completely free. It's in the link above. Put down no lying as their rule. And then you can put in brackets, I will decide when you're lying, because they might argue that it wasn't a lie, I was telling the truth. By the way, if you want to get the truth out of kids, what you do is you interview them and say, can you please tell me exactly what happened there? Oh, and then you go be very detailed and say, and then what happened? Then what happened? Then what happened? Then maybe an hour later, the next day, you say, by the way, I just want to check my notes. interview them again, ask them every single detail about the lie. Also, it brings to attention lies. It sort of makes them squirm a little bit. So you say, and then you decide whether or not that's a lie. Say, I'll tell you what, I'm going to call it a lie. Don't tell them the reason you figured that out is because they changed the facts. The facts never change. They might embellish some of the other points, but the facts of the truth never change. Lies change. Truth doesn't change. So that's how you can kind of tell if they're lying. Yeah, they'll fix it up, right? Not realizing they're digging their own hole there. Okay. 6-year-old cry for anything. I just answered that with that 7-year-old who's highly emotional. You might be a pleaser parent. A pleaser parent tends to have highly emotional children because they don't feel safe. They don't feel protected. They don't feel like you know what you're doing. The pleaser parent style, I know it's been trendy for a long time. It's finally going out, thank God. But yeah, it doesn't give the children any feeling of safety or anything to be proud of because you're just rolling out the red carpet doing everything for them. You're trying to make everything easy for them. It's a total disaster. By the way, most pleaser parents end up yelling and losing it a lot because it's not working. So they just lose it. Okay. Anyway, check out my pre-behavior board above where you can check out the boot camp course. That's 3 to 12 years old. It's all about you and your leadership. It teaches you how to be a leader within 5 weeks. I've got the live coaching sessions going on I got 3 more of them. Anyway, they're just a temporary thing. I'm doing live group coaching with that course right now on Saturdays. Anyway, check it out. Okay. My 3-year-old throws really bad tantrums, screams, throws things, hits. Yeah, that's a tantrum. Do we still ignore because it's a tantrum or address the behaviors too? No, you don't address behaviors. All you do is you can physically restrain them if they're getting physical and if they're hurting themselves, hurting someone else, or damaging property. You just hold them for a period of time, like maybe, I don't know, a minute or so. Let go. If they keep hitting and kicking, hold them again. You say no hitting, whatever they're doing, but you just say that once. You don't keep saying it every time you grab them because they get it. But yeah, that's completely normal. But you never discuss a tantrum before, during, or after. What they did during a tantrum, they don't have any control over. As they get older, if they picked up something, threw it, and broke it, after the tantrum's over, I would say, by the way, you broke that on purpose, so there's going to be a consequence as they get older. But at 3, I wouldn't even do that at 3. 18-month-old pulls fistfuls of hair out of her sister's head. How do I stop this? You've just got to physically watch them. Okay, so 18-month-old, yeah, just say no and physically push her away or pull her away from the sister. That's about all you can do. It's going to take like 500 times before they finally learn. So, and they're only 18 months old, you might distract them. Another thing that you could potentially do is put a helmet on the two, on her two sisters' heads. No, you can't do that. I thought it was a 2-year-old's head. So yeah, just tell the other ones to stay away or call out, say help, and then you go over and you physically restrain the 18-month-old. Yeah, it's a challenge. I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. They're just kind of crazy. They're going to go through stuff. Okay, these are my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1 is you child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2 is you set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3 is when you want to connect with a toddler to me is under the age of 3. When you want to connect with them, you don't go to the nail salon with them. You go to the park and you roll down the hill with them. So you enter their world to connect with them. And number 4 is when you want to discipline a toddler, you discipline them in their world. They're not about words. They're about consistent corrective actions. And it takes a lot. Take repetition before they actually learn. Because they learn differently from the way we do. They don't really think before they act. It's just sort of a knee-jerk reaction because you've corrected them enough times that they just sort of stop doing it, but they don't really think it through. And number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They've got one marble and some tumbleweed floating around in there. They're just forming. A 7-year-old constantly argues and backtalks, whiny voice. How do I help him? That's nothing to do with him. That's learned behavior as a result of your parenting. Work on your leadership skills, and that just doesn't happen. Okay, that's a tell for me. It says you're not a leader and they don't respect you. That's all it is. So work on yourself. Everyone wants to fix their kids. It's never the kids. They're just reacting to your parenting. Isn't that good news? Don't you want it to be you so you can actually change it? Would you rather that there's something wrong with your kids or that you're not a leader? You know what I mean? Everyone's very quick to blame their kids for being broken. But you really got to look in the mirror and think, what am I missing here? What am I doing wrong? It's all you. It's all you. Their behavior between the ages of 3 and 12 is a direct result of your parenting. Take responsibility. It's on you, okay? It's important. If you're not willing to take responsibility for your kids, it really can't help you at all. No, it can't. Someone came on here once and I was saying that, and this very defensive mother said, way to shame us. I said, I'm not shaming you, I'm blaming you. Don't you want to take the blame for your kids' behavior? Would you rather blame your poor little innocent kids? Like they're just a result of us. They're just victims of us, right? So yeah, I thought that was pretty. I'm not shaming you, I'm blaming you. There's no shame in this. You're just learning how to do this, right? Take responsibility. You have so much more control over your kids' behavior than you even realize. I've worked with hundreds of kids, teenagers, toddlers, and everything in between. And I always managed to get respect. It wasn't them. Did I just happen to turn up on a good day? I never worked with an easy kid, okay? I always managed to get respect. So it was my leadership. It wasn't them. Getting a 12-year-old to take accountability for their own actions versus blaming everyone and everything else. Okay, have you got the behavior board? Have you got that set up? And are you accountable for your actions? Are you on that too? You have to be on the behavior board. Leaders lead by example. You're showing them how this is done. So yeah, are you on the behavior board? Are you showing them, hey, I'm accountable? They're not listening to you, they're watching you. So if you're accountable for your actions and if you're responsible for your behavior, they're more likely to be responsible for theirs. Check that out. The behavior board is completely free. It's up above. It's in the link. That link has the free behavior board, mini toddler courses, the big boot camp course, and you can look into coaching. You have to apply for coaching these days. I'm pretty busy. Okay, sorry, I have to scroll ahead because I don't like to answer questions. And oh goodness. I've been ignoring when my 15-year-old says mean things. Is saying hateful things considered attitude? Yeah, absolutely. Let's say you said no to a teenager and then they're coming at you. I hate you, you know, all that stuff. I would just go, whatever, and just let it go. You have to. The attitude is a result of your relationship with your teenager, okay? If you try and correct that, it's going to make it worse. That's not very nice when you said that. It's going to make it worse. Pretty sure about that. Are the questions being answered on here? That's on YouTube. No, actually, that's just trying to be funny. Yeah, obviously, I just looked at that. Okay. What I usually do is, because YouTube's my smallest platform, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok are the big ones. So what I usually do is when I'm transferring between those platforms, I'm on YouTube the whole time. That's when I look down and answer the YouTube videos because I'm waiting for people to turn up in the next platform. So every half hour, I usually every half hour I look at the YouTube ones. But someone asked on YouTube, Jasmine Berry, how would you handle breaking curfew? I don't like curfews with teenagers. I don't use them. Yeah, I don't have curfews. That's micromanaging. Doesn't mean my kids were out all night, but we just discussed it each time. They never knew if they were going to be having fun or not. Sometimes they'd want to come home at 10. Sometimes they'd want to come home at 2. And we'd be in constant contact. They couldn't just text me every 90 minutes, 90 minutes. My rule was you call me and say, I'm fine, and then hang up. I just need to hear your voice to know you're still alive. I always knew where they were. I always knew who they were with. And they had to call me and say, I'm fine, every 90 minutes. And then sometimes they'd say, hey, I'm ready to be picked up. Can you pick me up in a half an hour? I'd say, sure, whatever. So, but then they weren't out all night. Sometimes I'd just say, oh, okay, I want you home in a half an hour. I'm going to come pick you up then. Okay, it was mutual. We worked through it. But if they were having a great time, I gave them that gift of staying out really late. But only on weekends. And if I was sick, because there was respect between us, right? If I was sick or wasn't feeling very well, I'd say, look, I just don't feel well. I don't want to, because I was a single mom with teenagers, having to pick them up in the middle of the night. It was hard. But I gave them that. And I would just say, look, I'm not feeling well. Can you stay home tonight? And they would, because I just couldn't always pick them up. It was really hard for me. I'd say that's the hardest time in my parenting, was when I had, my son was a teenager going out late. He loved gaming. He'd be gaming with his friends. And then I had like a 12-year-old daughter a 10, 11, 12-year-old daughter. And I had to wake her up in the middle of the night to go and pick him up because I was a single mom. That was hard. That was really, really hard. That was the hardest part of parenting for me, was waking her up. I wasn't going to leave her asleep at home alone. But yeah, I did that for him, My kid take things that don't belong to her, but not from school or other places, just home. So if she's stealing, say no stealing. Just say it like it is, no stealing. And then say, this is an example of stealing, and then explain what it is, and then put a consequence. Use the behavior board. Check it out. It's free above. How do I stop my 10-month-old from hitting her new babies? You can't teach a 10-month-old not to hit. They don't understand concussions, soft spots. You just have to keep them safe. Keep the 10-month, hold the 10-month-old hands when they're near the baby. So yeah, just keep the newborn safe. That's all. It's just physical. It's not, you can't teach them any lesson at 10 months old. They don't understand concussions and stuff like that. So yeah, keep them separate. Keep them safe. If you can't be right there to keep the baby safe, keep them separate. Do your conversations touch, do I talk about autism on here? No, that is more of a specialty. I only discuss that during coaching. So check out the link above if you want to look into coaching. It's like trauma, abuse. I work with all that, but I don't discuss it on here. On the behavior board, when a child breaks a rule and they do the good deed, how many chances in a day do they get before a media blackout? I would say on the third one. I'd say, look, you've cleaned enough windows today when you broke the rule. Now we're just going to go straight to media blackout. But don't tell them that ahead of time. Make that a little surprise. Say, okay, this is the third time you've done that, so we're just going to do media blackout now. No more chores today. Oh, not fair, not fair. I didn't know. Well, you'll know next time, won't you? Yeah, that's what I would do. Always calm, like it's a business transaction. If they keep yelling at you, I hate you, whatever. Like, there's no way I would answer that. No way. I don't see the behavior board. It's in a link above. Look it up. It's the newsletter. Just read. Read from when you click on that link, just read what you see at the top. It'll say there. And the behavior board takes about 20 minutes to arrive. I've got like a third-party delivery system or something. I don't know. This one's okay. It's a little bit complex. Advice for single parents repartnering. I've been a single mom since my daughter was 1. She's now 9. She loves the guy in our life minimally, but doesn't want regular involvement. You'd have to hire me for that. I'd have to figure that one out. That's kind of complex. I don't know what I could answer here. I don't know the situation. What's he like? Does he have kids? Or maybe she doesn't want the other kids moving in. What kind of relationship does she have with the father? Do you get along with the father? It's too many. I need too many questions for that. Sorry. Do you include books in media blackout? We don't do a lot of screens. No, I would never take away books because that's sort of a healthy thing to be doing. That's like saying, I'm taking away broccoli. Like, I wouldn't take away anything like that. There's always got to be something that they like, that they play with every day, or that they use every day that you can take away. Yeah, I've never not been able to find something. If not, we invent leverage. I don't want to go into all that. It gets a little bit complicated. But yeah, we invent something to take away. How to handle 4-year-old throwing toys when younger siblings have dumped them. Do I remove the 4-year-old from the room? No. What I would do is I would say, no throwing toys. Just put down on the behavior board, no throwing toys, or no throwing things. And then say, obviously you can throw a ball outside when it's appropriate, but in the house, no throwing things. You don't want kids throwing anything in the house, basically, except maybe a balloon. Anyway, so no throwing things. And when they break the rule, there's a consequence, okay? If they throw a toy, maybe they have to let their sibling, if they throw their sibling's toy, maybe they have to let that sibling play with their favorite toy for half an hour. Something like that. But yeah, I would address that. I'm interested in your credentials if you coach on autism. Pure experience, nothing else. I have no credentials whatsoever. A lot of my clients do, though. But yeah, it's just experience. I've been working with kids for 52 years, so yeah. Okay, this is from Kelly. I have implemented a lot of your concepts into my home daycare. Oh, okay. I don't teach daycaring, but anyway, I'll keep reading. And it's been great. Curious what I could do instead of media blackout as the kids don't live with me, obviously. I don't teach teaching, um, child psychology, daycaring, but a lot of those people hire me with their own kids. Some of them sneakily hire me and pretend they're their own kids, and they're actually hiring me for their clients or students. So they've told me that later on. Yeah, I don't know anything about, I've never ran a daycare. I've never taught. I would never even like go into that territory. I get approached by a lot of schools to set up programs for them. I don't know anything about teaching or child psychology. That my specialty is parent-child relationships. And people with degrees with kids and everything, they still struggle with their own kids. It's personal. What they do is business. It's an institution. It's different. What I do is personal, at-home based parent-child relationships. So yeah, I don't teach daycaring. Wouldn't have a clue how to do it. Some of the stuff I'm sure works, but it's up to you to decide. I don't go there. I only give advice on what I'm really confident about. I know how to connect with kids, and it's all home-based stuff. And I didn't learn much with my own kids. It was working with I mothered all the kids I worked with. I was called a mentor, but I was mothering them all. So, I was always kind of good at it, though. I started volunteering in daycare centers when I was 11 years old. And the daycare ladies there used to ask me how I did it. And I said, what? I was just a little kid, right? And they said, how do you get respect and yet they still love you? They're all over you. I didn't know how to answer that. I was a leader. I don't take any crap. I address everything. If they do something that's bad, I address it. I deal with it. But then I'm fun right away. It's like the pool story. Have you seen the pool story? Check that out. It's my example of leadership parenting. It's the first video on Instagram and on TikTok. I don't know about Facebook. I don't do any. My daughter does all my social media. She does all of my marketing, everything. All my emails, all my videos, they're all done by her. So yeah, I don't do any of that. Yeah, I've often talked about who works with me. It's my daughter. She didn't want anyone to know that. She's very, very humble. But yeah, she's pretty good at marketing and social media. Plus, I don't have to think about it. She just does whatever. I don't, it's just wonderful having someone work with you that you trust 100%. Okay. Would there be any advice for a 3-year-old with ADHD? Those are all the kids I worked with. So all my advice is based on all those kids that had ADHD. I called them alphabet kids, ADHD, ODD, WXYZ, ASD. That's where I learned all this. NAS, babies, kids. NAS is narcotic addiction syndrome when they have a lot of problem with impulse control. So that's where I learned all this. Okay, you're asking me about homeschooling. There again, that's like teaching. I've never homeschooled. And because it's not controversial at all, but it's some people would do it, some people wouldn't. So I kind of teach general stuff. Homeschooling is a personal choice. I have no opinion on it. I don't have an opinion on homeschooling, religion, breastfeeding till they're older. There's just certain things that it's a personal choice whether or not you homeschool. But I don't know. I couldn't tell you anything about it. It's almost kind of polarizing. Some people are really pro homeschooling and some people are really anti homeschooling. I don't understand that. We're all allowed to have our own views on things. But yeah, I've actually seen people argue over that. Why would you argue about that? Oh, that's funny. Does speaking meanly to a younger sibling fall under attitude? Yep. Unless they're swearing or name calling. If they're using bad words or name calling, I will put that on the behavior board. No bad words or name calling. But if it's just being nasty, no, you can't. And the attitude is organic. The attitude improves once you're a leader. You can't rush that. Everyone wants to address the attitude in session 1 with coaching. And I'm like, yeah, maybe by session 4 or 5, you'll start to see an improvement, but it happens organically. Once you set yourself up as a leader, they don't have an attitude. Why would they? Okay. How can you help when behavior is occurring at school but not at home? I don't know the age. Let's say they're 5 or 6 years old. If you're a leader at home, there's no way they'd act out at school. Never. No, it wouldn't happen. So there's 2 reasons why they act out at school and not at home. Or they is one of them is they are acting out at home also, and you just don't care. Like what I mean is you let it go, or you're giving into everything. So, and school doesn't do that. Or there could be, and it could be a third reason, potentially something's upsetting them at school, but that's the rare one. It's usually the other two. Either you just ignore the bad behavior or you try to avoid it by giving them everything they want. School's not going to do that. Okay. Last couple of nights, our 2.5-year-old has meltdowns at bedtime. Check out my bedtime battles course. It's in 2 parts: how to get them in bed, then how to keep them there. You got to go through those storms, the meltdowns, scenes, fits, tantrums. You got to go through that. That's them expressing their lack of expressing. They lose their emotions at not getting what they want. Things aren't going their way. Don't interrupt that. Let them do that. That's I would say that's none of your business. That's their brain. They got to learn how to deal with a tantrum and get themselves out of it. You cannot teach a child how to self-regulate. They will eventually learn. But yeah, check out my bedtime battles course. It gets ugly, by the way. It's not pretty. Is it appropriate to have an almost 4-year-old clean up the toys he dumped, thrown out when told not to? I guess so, but how many toys do you have? Like I do a toy rotation system so that they don't have very many toys out in the first place. And plus, why is he dumping them out? Probably to find what's at the bottom. That would drive me nuts. Yeah, I had like bookcases in my kids' rooms, and I had just a few toys out at any given time, and I rotated them, maybe once a week or once every couple of months with my kids. But yeah, because you never put away the big stuff like Lego or whatever. But if they dump out all the Lego, my kids, like I'd put it out on a blanket, and then I would just bundle it all up if they were done with it. But they were allowed to leave Lego out if they were building something on the coffee table in the living room for quite some time. But if they just sort of abandoned it and didn't go to it after a few days, that would be put away. But yeah, you got to get organized with this stuff. So yeah, I'm suggesting maybe they're searching down the bottom for a toy. I don't like those toy bins where there's just stuff piled on top. Oh, that would drive me nuts. Yeah. So check out my videos on toy rotation system. I've got a whole bunch of them. I have 4 kids of different ages, so we have more toys. He dumps the Lego out and thinks it's funny. He's 4 years old. Yeah, you can just say if you dump it out, you have to clean it up. If not, then you don't get any screens for 24 hours. Yeah. I think the problem with discipline is parents are trying to get their kids to do something, or else they go all mad and then they just take everything away. I do 2 disciplines, 2 consequences, 2 punishments. The first one is a positive action. If they won't do that, then I resort to the negative deprivation. It's a system. Start slow, and if they won't do it, then go to the negative deprivation. They'll eventually learn, hey, I don't want to lose screens for 24 hours. Maybe I'll actually start cleaning up after myself. So that's why we do it. And there's never any emotions involved when you're disciplining, ever, ever, ever. When I'm disciplining kids, I'm very quiet. I'd say, I didn't like that. Here's what's going to happen. You understand? Okay. That's how I talk. No emotions. Someone asked me, how do you discipline a 9-year-old with ADHD? This is where I learned all this with kids with ADHD. It's the exact same. ADHD is not a disability. It's a little bit more challenging. But yeah, it's not a disability. Yep, you're going to hate this, Haley. In week 1 of the behavior board, do we ignore all other bad behaviors besides the one behavior until others can be added? Yes. Here's how it works. So when week 1, you have the behavior board, 1 rule for everybody. Week 2, you have a new behavior board. Now you got 2 rules for everybody. Week 3, now you got 3 rules. You don't go past that. The idea is that the sign of and the symbol of your new leadership is just that behavior board. I would never use a behavior board. I deal with everything in day 1, but I'm level 10 with what I teach. This is a teaching tool I invented to teach you how to do this, how to get organized, how to stay calm. It's also very visual. Children see that all the time. You're always referring to it. It's like the triangle. There's you, the kid, the behavior board. You're all in this together, right? And when people hire me, I always say, tell them that you want to be a better parent, that you've hired a parenting coach. This is just for coaching. You've hired a parenting coach. Her name is Lisa. She's been working with kids and teenagers and everything for over 50 years. So it gives me more clout, gives me more power, and we've paid her a lot of money. Older kids always say, how much? Talk money, talk my experience, give me a lot of power, give that board a lot of power, and your bank account a lot of power. It just build up that behavior board, and that's all you're focused on. Do not take those consequences and apply them to any other bad behaviors. It's just a bit of a crap show everywhere else. Don't worry about it. Do whatever you were doing with everything else, but as soon as they break that one rule, go, okay, let's go to the board. Then by week 2, you got 2 of them. By week 3, you should start to see the other bad behaviors drop away because you're starting to get respect, right? Because you're on that board too. That's what makes it work. Anyway, I got to go to Instagram now. It's Bratbusters Parenting over there also. Thanks so much for joining me. Check out the link above for my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, and you can look into coaching. And anyway, I'm going over to Instagram now. So happy parenting. Bye now. Okay. Oh, they've changed it. Done. Okay, YouTube. 5 and 3-year-old fighting constantly. I'm having a hard time navigating, and I had her 3rd baby 3 weeks ago. Any advice? Check out the behavior board. Actually, check out the boot camp course. That's all about you and your leadership. Goes for 5 weeks. And right now, I still have my live group coaching sessions on Saturdays only with the boot camp course. So it's just me answering questions about the boot camp course. So anyway, check that out. That might be for you. It's a whole system. 5 weeks to get respect. Okay, so let's get going with your parenting questions. I haven't been on here. I have not done a live since last Thursday. It's the longest I've gone without doing a live in 2 years. I'm usually on here every day or every second day, but yeah, it's the longest I've ever gone. I just had so much work I had to do, so I just couldn't come on here. But anyway, and I won't be able to come on as much. I'm just really busy these days, and I can't afford to get stressed out. I have to sort of look after my mental health too. Anyway, so I can't stretch myself too thin anymore. I've been doing that for too long now. So yeah, I have to look after myself. So, because remember, I'm coaching all day and my voice starts to go. 4-year-old not wanting to eat supper. It's a battle every night. That's a little bit of a tough one. I would say that's one of the toughest ones I deal with. But I would put down on the behavior board, follow mealtime routine. And underneath the behavior board, write out a mealtime routine. You come to the table within 5 minutes of being asked to do so. That's number 1. Number 2 is you don't keep getting up during the meal. And number 3 is no toys or screens at the at the table. And number 4 is put your dishes in the dishwasher or on the kitchen counter when you're finished. Okay, and that's it. Something like that. And then if it's not followed, don't say anything while they're breaking the rules. Like after dinner, say, okay, well, let's go to the board. Well, follow mealtime routine was the rule. That didn't work, did it? So here's the consequence. Anyway, so that's how you do it. It's going to get ugly. What's the right age to drop from 3 to 2 naps? Geez, I don't know. You're asking me for milestones. Milestones are just general ideas. There's no law with this. My kids both stopped regular naps at 12 months old. And they didn't sleep a lot at night either. So they just didn't need a lot of sleep. Yeah, they're all different. So let them tell you. If they're not sleeping at night, maybe drop it down to 2 naps during the day. I've got my granddaughter's 3 months old. She does not like sleeping during the day at all, but she sleeps beautifully at night. So yeah, my kids weren't big nappers. They're all different. You ask about your son hitting. I don't know how old he is. Is he 16, 2? You need to put an age. Okay. Help, my 2-year-old is hitting and punching me when he gets frustrated and angry. What do I do? Check out my Toddlers Who Hit, Bite, Etc. course. It's one of my mini toddler courses. It goes into how you deal with that. That's different from the tantrum course. If they hit during a tantrum, that's a different course. Tantrums are different from just hitting in anger, right? They just hit because they're mad. That's different. Or just to be aggressive. That's a different course. They're 2 different courses. Okay, advice to get rid of the pacifier for emotional 3-year-old. Okay, my son was 18 months old, and I let him have the pacifier till he was 18 months old. I wanted to get rid of it earlier, But we lived in Australia, and we were going to visit my family in Canada when he was 18 months old, and it was going to be a 24-hour trip. And I thought, there's no way I'm going to wean him off that dummy before that trip. I wanted that dummy to shove into his gob on the plane. So, anyway, he stayed awake for the whole 24 hours, both ways, to Canada and then back home again to Australia. And he was 18 months old. He was good, but I just kept feeding him milk and whatever he wanted. Here's the dummy, here's the milk. Oh, anyway, we get home and my husband goes off to work and I've got jet lag. It's the day after we get home and I've got jet lag and my son and I think this is the day. I'm just going to take those dummies away. So I showed him, I said, look, you're a big boy now. You don't need these dummies. And I had him help me collect them all. I put them all on the counter, so it was all visual. And we put them in a little Ziploc bag. And I said, now we're going to go throw those out because you're a big boy. You're not going to have any more dummies. And he goes, oh, he's kind of looking at me. Don't really understand. So I had him hold the bag. We went outside in the garage. I opened up the big wheelie bin and I said, okay, bye-bye dummies, throw them in. He threw them in and I closed the lid. And then I thought, what have I just done? What have I done? Anyway, so we go back and we were outside all day. It's Australia, it's hot, right? So we're outside all day. And every so often he was addicted to the dummy. Every so often he'd go like this and then he'd look at me like that. And I instantly would look away. I was not going to get eye contact when he was looking for that dummy. Do you know he never asked for a dummy all day? Not once did he have a tantrum or ask for a dummy. I think part of it was he already kind of knew when mom said something, it was going to happen. He was kind of catching on to the fact I'm a leader. And, but also I think it was just a bit of luck, but just pull off the Band-Aid. And I was all ready for a rough day. Plus I had jet lag. So I was all prepared for a rough day. Didn't happen. And he had tantrums too. He didn't have any with that though, but I thought it was just going to be awful. What if your 18-month-old is having a tantrum and won't stop unless you pick him up? Well, I wouldn't pick him up. So why do you need to intervene to stop it? Why does everyone try and stop a tantrum? Let them learn how to get themselves out of it. If you keep intervening, you're stopping them from learning how to stop. You're stopping it. You know what I mean? Yeah, don't do that. Let them run it out. Tips on an 8-year-old negotiator. They're only doing what they learned to do past the age of 4. So that means it must work. So if they don't like what you've done, but why? That's not fair. And then you give into it. That's what you did. You built that negotiator. It's a learned behavior. Yeah. What do I do when my 5-year-old doesn't want the first consequence and doesn't care about media blackout? Find something they do care about. There's always something. Always. I've never not been able to find or invent leverage. So yeah, just find something they like and take it away for 24 hours. 20-month-old doesn't eat. It's mostly toddler stuff, but I specialize in teenagers. If you've got older kids, feel free to ask questions about them too. 20-month-old doesn't eat. He throws his food. That's an easy one. As soon you got to be quick though. They got to figure out what's happened, and they're just kind of think right in the present moment. So they throw the food. You say no, throw it in the sink, and then hand feed right away for the rest of that meal. And they're going to push it away. They're going to start screaming. Say, okay, you're all done. Wipe their face and put them down. Half hour later, sit them up again. Give them a little bit of food. If they throw that, say no, throw it in the garbage, and then hand feed. They'll eventually learn that they won't eat if they keep throwing that food. 20-month-old likes to run in public. Another easy one, how to manage. Put a harness on them before you go out, and then as soon as they start to run, you say, don't run. And as soon as they run, clip them in and keep them clipped in for the rest of that outing. If this is a real problem, I'd suggest that you go somewhere where it's not going to be a big scene, or you don't really have to be there anyway. So just go somewhere where it's not a big deal, and then just get them used. If you run, you get clipped in. It's a life and death situation, so you want to put them in a harness and clip them into a leash, right? You want to keep them alive. So how to fix once you made a negotiator. Okay, so once you're not a leader, then you become a leader. So check out my boot camp course. That might be a good one for you. That was 8-year-old, I think. Yeah, the negotiator. Yeah, check out the boot camp course. That's for you. Once you're a leader, they don't question you. They just don't. Plus, I don't explain myself. Once I've laid down the law and set a rule or whatever, I don't explain myself. I would never do that. But why? Who knows? There's no way. They already know. They already know. People, when they hire me, they're very quick to tell me how intelligent their kids are. But then as we go along, they say, well, he forgot, he didn't understand. So he was a genius in session 1. Now in session 3, the kid's a moron. What happened between 1 and 3? So they're bragging about how smart their kid is. Then at 3, they're letting all these excuses get in the way. I forgot. I didn't understand. It is well, you'll know next time, won't you? That would be my response. The consequence is still going to happen. How to get both parents on the same page when parenting? Yeah, it just so many different ways of going about this. That comes up all the time in coaching. So, and I'll tell you a cute story. I think it was last week. Can't remember. This happens quite often, actually. And the dad doesn't want to be involved. Dad, I understand men because I've raised one. Men are fixers. If they can't fix their family, they don't want to bring me in. They see it as sort of a kick in the knackers. But anyway, but not all of them. A lot of them do hire me. Men hire me. So anyway, this is often what I see in coaching. The wife's like this, and the dad's in the background like this. Or often they won't even turn up. And I'm like, oh, I'm used to this, right? Doesn't bother me. So anyway, I think it was last week. Anyway, this dad and the mother said he won't be on the board. He doesn't want anything to do with this. I said, fine. So anyway, she was the leader. So I don't remember how many sessions we went through. I think it was maybe the 4th session. He turns up. He's sitting in the background. He's just sitting there like this. I hadn't seen him before, and he's just sitting there. And I didn't say anything. I didn't even acknowledge him. And then, because the mom was talking to me. And then about halfway in the 4th, I think it was the 4th session, he leans in and he says, can I say something? And I said, sure. And he says, I'm in. And you know what happened? He saw the relationship the mom was getting with the kids, and he wanted in on that. So anyway, they ended up hiring me for another 5 sessions, and he turned up to every single one of those, or he will be. I think it was just last week that happened. Happens quite often. Because once they start to see the relationship that the leader gets with the kids, they want in on it. So yeah, just say, you don't have to be in on this, but just don't undermine me, okay? So just follow my lead, because we've paid for this course or whatever it is, or whatever. So yeah, just say, follow my lead for at least 3 to 5 weeks. Sometimes I'll get the other parent or the ex-spouse will hire me, and it's like a big secret. They don't want the other one to know. They see the relationship and how good the kids are with that parent who's learning all this, and they want in on it, but they don't want to admit that they've hired me on the side. It's really quite funny. And then I always ask them, can we tell them? Come on, let's. And we always do. There's no shame in like hiring a personal trainer, a coach. It's just it's someone who's got expertise in something that you don't have expertise in it. Like personal trainers at the gym. There's no shame in that. Parenting coach. There's no shame in that. These are people who have got more experience or whatever. I'm interested in the course on leadership. What all does it consist of? It's just basically you go through it. It's an online course, and you go through it week after week. You can read all 5 weeks. It's evergreen. It's never going to go away. It won't expire unless I do, I guess. But yeah, it's a 5-week course, and you can read the whole thing and then just go through it step by step. Each week I pepper in just additional information. So it's sort of reference material down the road also. It goes from 3 to 12 years old. It can actually go up to 14 unless they're really advanced, more emotionally mature. And you know what I'm saying. If they haven't really got that teenage attitude, it can actually go up to 14 years old. But I wouldn't go past that. So yeah, it's just an online course. You just read through it. It's got videos. Right now I've also got live coaching calls. I'm doing group coaching with the course right now. It's just for now. I've got 3 more of those happening. Yeah, 1, 2, yep, 3 more. Actually, I'm excited about, oh shoot, no, I've only got 2 more. I'm really excited about this week, this Saturday, we're doing week 5, but you can turn up whatever week you're in. We're doing week 5, and then that's the end of the course. So then we're going to do week 6. Or there is no week 6, but I'm going to be doing the 6th one. So that's next Saturday. And that's like, how did it go? I want to find out from all these parents, how did it go? I'm really excited about that one, actually. If anything, it shows you care and want to improve. Yeah, I guess. What are you talking about? By the way, I teach leadership. And to me, leadership is all about connecting with your kids. Discipline is really not what I teach. It's what everyone asks me about, but that's not what I'm about at all. I'm about connecting with your kids. Once you connect, the behavior tends to improve anyway. I do deal with discipline, obviously, but it's not what I'm about at all. At all. Because when I worked with kids, I didn't have any leverage. I would take away Fun Lisa for 30 seconds, maybe 60 seconds. I'd say, oh, didn't like that. I'm going to go quiet for 30 seconds now. That's sort of all I had. And they liked me, so they didn't like it when I went quiet. They were embarrassed, right? So, because when they look up to you, they kind of get embarrassed if they disappoint you in any way. So that's all I didn't like that. Oh, Lisa's going to go real quiet for about 30 seconds now. That's all the leverage I had. But it's mostly about connecting. Once you connect with a kid and they feel like you really get them and you really understand them and you enter their world, yeah, they want to please you. They look up to you. You're like a mentor to them. That's what you want. Parenting was the most fun I ever had. It was the most fun time my whole life. I had a little blue RAV4, and the school moms used to say, they said, I don't know how you do it, but every time we see you drive past with you and your two kids, this is all we see. You know that cartoon where the top of the head would separate from the jaw? Like, we were just laughing all the time. It was just, I couldn't wait to go and pick them up after school. That was the best part of my whole day. It was fun. I didn't have to discipline because we had mutual respect. That's what leadership is. I want you to enjoy your children. I want you to have fun. I want you to enjoy parenting like I did. I'm a grandmother now. It's okay, but I have to hand her back. Everyone says, oh, grandparenting's the best because you get to hand them back. That's the worst part of it. I have to hand her back. You know, I'm like, can I have my child now, Mom? Yeah, no. Like, I love being a grandma, but it's nowhere near as good because she's someone else's kid. I have to hand her back. So just because I love mothering so much that, yeah. Okay. Do you have suggestions for parents who send their children to daycare? Is there a risk of bad behaviors learned at daycare hurting our progress at home? Other kids are often really good teachers. They don't put up with crap. Like if your kid hits another kid, they're more likely to hit them back. And yeah, whereas you're not, right? Hopefully. But yeah, so often kids will teach them good stuff too. So it balances out. Yeah, they're kind of ahead of the game socially too. My kids went into gym daycare every single morning during the week. They went in gym daycare when they were toddlers. They went in gym daycare, and they learned some social skills in there, right? So yeah, I think it's good and bad. They you know, you don't get to see them as much, but they learn a lot in daycare. So I'm just skipping ahead because I don't like to answer questions unless parents are still here. Um, 9-year-old boy who keeps interrupting when his parents are speaking. Okay, that's just a tell. Just means he doesn't respect you, right? So work on your leadership skills, and he would not do that. Yeah, he's controlling. It's because you're not a leader. That's all that says to me. Everyone wants to fix their kids, but they're just a product of your parenting. That's all. Your children's behavior is a complete reflection of your parenting. So just, you've got to, you know, I'm not fixing kids here. I'm teaching parents here. You set yourself up as a leader, and that kind of stuff just doesn't happen. My mother, I really looked up to my mom. She was the leader. My dad was the pleaser. And my mom, if I did something she didn't like, she didn't probably use this enough. She probably should have used it more. But if my mom ever looked at me like this, she always seemed to be sitting down when she did this. She'd be like this. I was so embarrassed. I didn't like my mom's disappointment. I looked up to her. She was my leader. And it was the same with my kids. It's called mom's look. So it's not fear. It's that, like, I wasn't afraid of her at all, but I didn't want to disappoint my mom because I respected her. I looked up to her. And same with my kids. It just took a look. Or I would be more likely to go, are you kidding me? And they go, oh, sorry, Mom. It was that easy. I use that face as a teacher. It's a good face, isn't it? I don't have it as good as my mom. I really would just go like this. But my mom was it was just a very specific look. I hated it. Oh, I just would, even now, she died 8 years ago. She was 93. She died in my arms. It was beautiful. As beautiful as it can get, right? But she was 93 and very ill. So they always say it's a blessing when they go, but I'll tell you when it happens, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe she's gone. She was 93. She was very ill. She had dementia. And then you're like, oh my God, she's gone too early. It's crazy. So you still go through a massive mourning process, but there's no tragedy. My dad died of cancer when he was 53. That was tragic. But my mom at 93, you know, there's no tragedy in that, but it was still really sad. But yeah, she died in my arms. It was just beautiful. It was a really lovely goodbye, if there is such a thing. My mom was 90 and a half. Same with me. Yeah, I'm going to tell you something cute about when my mom died. My mom was my best friend. We got really close as adults, especially. And so and I moved back from Australia to be with her because she was not doing very well. She was in her late 80s by that time. So I had a few good years with her before she got dementia and all that, and ended up in a care facility. And anyway, we always said, she had a great sense of humor. And we always said, Mom, she always said, on my deathbed, we'll have nothing to say. Because we talked every day. And we emailed every single day, several times a day when I lived in Australia. We just talked about everything. We were like each other's daily journal, right? So nothing happened till I told my mom. And she said, nothing's happened until I've told you. So we were very connected. Anyway, and we said, we'll have nothing to say at the end. Like, what are we going to say? Because we've said it all. So I told her, we said, I love you every day. We were very, very close. So as she was dying in my arms, and they only breathe like once every 30 seconds or so, and it's just a gasp, right? This is, I don't know, it's horrible. But anyway, and the doctor said she can't feel you or see you, but she can hear you. So okay. So I'm holding her. And I said, Mom, you're right. I've got nothing to say. And she double gasped. She actually laughed as she was dying. So I knew, and I started laughing and crying and all that stuff. But she was actually laughing as she was dying because we always said, we'll have nothing to say. It'll be the quietest deathbed ever. So, you're right, Mom. I got nothing to say. I've said it all. Yeah, it was funny. Well, she had a great sense of humor. Imagine that. Your last breath is laughter. And I know her. She did. It was a laugh. So cute. We shared her care with my sister after Dad died at 7. She had dementia soon after. Yeah, I would have moved my mom in with me, but I had steps, and she couldn't be left alone at all. So I had no way of caring for her. Okay. Back to parenting here. Well, that's kind of in the same line. And I was adopted too. And I was always very grateful for that. I always felt very lucky that I was adopted into a very loving home. And but yeah, you can't explain that connection that you have with your parents. And once you're an orphan, it's a very bizarre. Like I'm the head generation now. They're all gone, and it's weird. Okay. Any thoughts on 3.5-year-old twins threatening to pee their car seats when mad? Okay, so they've got you over a barrel. I would let them pee in their car seats. I would call them on that. So they're threatening to get their own way. Wow. Yeah, I would let them pee in the seats. I would, yeah, I would maybe put a pull up on them. Oh, you're gonna pee? Here's a diaper. I'd maybe do something. There's no way I would give them what they wanted. Whatever they're threatening for, there's no freaking way they would get it. No way. I'd rather them pee. I'd rather put a diaper on them and have them pee, or even just let them pee in the car seat and clean it all up. There's no way I'd be held over a barrel like that. No. That's learned behavior. That must have worked. There's no way a kid would do that unless it had worked in the past. So yeah, not necessarily that specific threat, but it means that threats would have worked. That's a learned behavior. Like if a kid, that's like that kid who said to me, 8 years old, and I'd never worked with him before. He didn't know me, so he said this. He said, if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to have a fit. And I said to him, bring it on. And he never did. There's no way I could be threatened. Oh, it's just the worst thing you can do for a kid is allow that to work. Okay, it's not the worst thing you can do, but it's not good. Okay. Oh goodness. I didn't want to be late. I appreciate these live sessions. Our parenting game is slowly but surely changing for the good. Excellent. That's why I keep doing these, because even these lives, they're helping people. If they weren't, I wouldn't bother doing them, right? I was doing them every day for about 2 years, and just recently I can't anymore. I'm just super busy. So, yeah. I have a 4-year-old who started thumb sucking 2 years ago when I had my second. Hasn't stopped. My main concern is germs. Or do I bother her about it? Yeah, you might want to say, look, it's not healthy to suck your thumb, but don't shame. Okay, get her something else to do. You don't just say stop doing that. You say do this instead. So get her something, just something on her wrist she can snap, or get her those poppers that she can do. Has to be something she can do in class potentially too if she's going to school. So get her something she can do instead. Give her something. There's lots of things like that. Look it up online. Look up like what to give kids to do instead of thumb sucking. There's someone told me that, I can't remember if that's what they looked up, but they said there's a whole bunch of stuff like that. It's sensory stuff. And anyway, I knew someone a long time ago who, as an adult, had no thumbprints because he sucked his thumbs, I guess, when he was sleeping, till he was about 12 years old, and he has no thumbprints. I guess he was like planning for a life of crime. No thumbprints. Isn't that interesting? I didn't know you could suck off your own thumbprints. Yeah, it's a bad habit because you can't take his thumbs away, can you? And the bitter stuff doesn't work. Is there such a thing as correcting poor behavior for a 16-month-old? Yeah, you'd use consistent corrective actions. If they throw fits, just ignore them. But if they're hurting themselves, hurting someone else, or damaging property, you physically restrain them to keep them safe. That's all. But you don't look at them or talk to them. Let them run it out. Let them learn how to go through a tantrum all by themselves. And they only do it to get what they want, or they're doing it because they can't stand hearing the word no. So things didn't go their way. If they're really hungry or tired or sick, that's different. Then you give them what they're having a tantrum over. If they're really hungry and they're having a tantrum, I would feed them. So, but yeah, just let them play. I have a whole course on tantrums, so check that out if you want. It's one of my mini toddler courses. Sure doesn't she wash the vinegar right off? Yeah, the bitter stuff doesn't work. That's when you put something bitter on their thumb so they won't suck their thumb. It doesn't work at all. Some people, there's this thing you can get. It's a contraption you can put on their hand. I've heard of that before. I sort of see it like a straitjacket. I wouldn't want to do that. I would rather get them something else to do instead. It is like a nervous tick, a nervous habit, or smoking, or anything where it just becomes a habit. So you want to replace that with something else. I used to smoke a long time ago, and I just quit cold turkey. And I remember telling I used to work in this office, and I warned them about it. I said, by the way, I'm going to be quitting smoking. I'm just warning you. And turns out I don't get mad. Like, I don't get moody. I cry a lot, though. Pretty much every day in the office, I'd cry over something. And then when we'd have a visitor come in, they'd say, it's okay, she's quitting smoking. So embarrassed. Lisa, can you get this out today? So embarrassed. But I did. I quit. Oh, it's funny. Okay, 18-month-old thinks it's funny to stand on furniture, keep saying no and put him down, but he thinks it's funny when do. Just put the furniture away, or else put a bell on him so you can catch him, and just keep putting him down, putting him down, putting him down. You might think it's funny for now, but you'll just outlast him. So yeah, just move away. The furniture he's climbing on. My first tip for parenting toddlers is child-proof your home, so you never have to say no. Do the best you can. I had a client who told me this story. She said she had an 18-month-old little girl, couldn't find her anywhere. It was so bad. She'd looked for so long, could not find this child. She thought someone had broken into her house, stolen the child, and shut the door or window behind them. She was just about to call the police, and she heard a giggle. She looked up. Her 18-month-old was on top of the fridge. She had used her little toes to get up in the drawers, and then she got on the counter. Then she would have used the bread maker, which was beside the fridge, and she got up on top of the fridge. She could have died if she'd fallen off. So yeah. And then I suggested just put bells on all the furniture. Put bells, whatever they climb or whatever they move, because they'll often move chairs over to climb up on stuff, or put all the chairs up on top of tables, or yeah, just child-proof your home. Just make it easy for yourself. That's what I did. Yeah, what do we do instead of media blackout? Whatever they like, take it away for 24 hours. Their favorite thing, take it away. But you never take away anything that's comforting. Like you never take away a plushie or something that they're really attached to. You don't do that. So yeah, but there's always something that they like you can take away. Sorry, I got to get going. I'm moving over to TikTok now. Um, okay, I'm moving over to TikTok now. So if you want to join me over there, it's Bratbusters Parenting. And I just have to end the stream right now. There's something going on YouTube. Anyway, so check out the link above. If you're not going to join me over there, check out the link above. You'll see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. I'm really busy these days, but this week I've been taking on new clients because I finished up with a bunch of clients last week. So I've got some openings right now. Anyway, check it out if you're interested. If not, then I'll talk to you next time. Bye now.